Section 1. TV. Televisions show sounds and pictures. They get data from cables, disks, or over-the-air signals. They turn this data into sounds and images. People watch news and shows on them. You probably call them TVs. John Baird made the first TV in 1925. It had one color. It could only show 30 lines. This was just enough room for a face. It didn't work well, but it was a start. The first TV station was set up in 1928. It was in New York. Few people had TVs. The broadcasts were not meant to be watched. They showed a Felix the Cat doll for 2 hours a day. The doll spun around on a record player. They were experimenting. It took many years to get it right. By the end of the 1930s, TVs were working well. America got its first taste at the 1939 World's Fair. This was one of the biggest events ever. There were 200 small, black and white TVs set up around the fair. The U.S. President gave a speech over the TVs. The TVs were only 5 inches big, but the people loved it. They wanted TVs, but World War II was going on during this time. Factories were busy making guns and bombs. When the war was over, TV spread across the country. By 1948 there were 4 big TV networks in America. They aired their shows from 8 to 11 each night. Local shows were aired at other times. Most of the time, nothing was shown at all. TV was not always on like it is now. Color TVs came out in 1953. They cost too much money for most. Also, shows were aired in black and white. By 1965, color TVs were cheaper. TV stations started airing shows in color. People had to switch if they wanted to see the shows. Now most TVs are high def. This means that they have many lines on them. This makes the image clear. TVs have come a long way since Baird's 30-line set. High-def TVs have 1080 lines. There are state-of-the-art sets called 4K TVs. These TVs have 3,840 lines. Some people watch TV in 3D. I wonder what they will come up with next. Smell-o-vision, anyone? Section 2. Metal detectors.
Have you ever been to the beach? Did you see a man with a headset pointing a long pole at the ground? If so, you might have seen a person using a metal detector. People use these devices to find metal. Metal detectors make magnetic waves. These waves go through the ground. The waves change when they hit metal. Then the device beeps. This lets the person with the device know that metal is close. The first metal detectors were meant to help miners. They were big. They cost a lot of money. They used a lot of power. And worst of all, they didn't work well. People kept trying to make them better. Metal detectors got smaller. Now they are light and cheap. They also work better. That is why people bring them to the beach. They can look for rings in the water. They can look for phones in the sand. Metal detectors help them find these things. They usually just find junk though. Metal detectors also protect people. They help to keep guns out of some places. They are in airports. They are in courthouses. Some schools use them. They help guards look for weapons. Guards use special wands to find metal on a person. These devices save lives in other ways too. During wars, people plant bombs in the ground. When the war ends, they don't clean up their messes. This is unsafe for the people who live in those places. Others use metal detectors to find bombs. They remove them and help the people. These devices also make clothes safer. It sounds funny, but it's true. Most clothes are made in big factories. There are lots of needles in these places. Needles break from time to time. They get stuck in the clothes. They would poke people trying them on. They don't though. That's because our clothes are scanned for metal. Isn't that nice? Let's hear it for metal detectors. They make the world a safer place.
Section 3. Wintertime. Winter is cold in some places. Many plants do not grow during winter. Some plants die. Snow and ice may cover the ground. It can be hard for animals to find food during winter. Animals get through this time in many ways. Birds and butterflies can fly. Many of them do not stick around for the winter. They leave. They go to a place with nice weather. Then they come home in the spring. We call this migration. Migrating is a good way to avoid the cold. Another good way to avoid the cold is to sleep through it. Many animals hide during the winter. Their bodies slow down. They save their energy. They do not eat. They live off of their fat. They do this until food returns. We call this hibernation. Snakes, frogs, and bears hibernate. Some animals store food in their homes. They do not sleep all winter, but they do much less. They live on what they saved in the summer and fall. This is what squirrels, beavers, and raccoons do. Skunks do this too. Other animals tough it out. They do not leave. They do not hide. They must survive. Sometimes nature helps them out. Some animals grow thicker coats in the winter, other animals change color. The Arctic fox is brown in the summer. His coat turns white in the winter. Winter may be pretty. It is nice to see snow on the trees. But it is dangerous too. People are also at risk. You can get frostbitten or worse. How do you beat the winter? Do you wear a thick coat? Do you stay inside? Or do you live somewhere warm?
Section 4. Black Friday. The day after Thanksgiving is the start of the holiday shopping season. Thanksgiving is always on a Thursday, so the day after is a Friday. This day has come to be known as Black Friday. It has been the busiest shopping day of the year since 2005. Most stores offer great deals on Black Friday. They open their doors in the wee hours of the morning. They try to attract shoppers with big discounts. Some items like TVs are much cheaper than usual. Stores may even lose money on these items. They hope that shoppers will buy gifts for other people while they are in the store. Black Friday is a great time to get good deals. The problem is that there are not enough low-priced items to go around. Each store may only have a few. These items are in high demand. People stand in long lines to get such great deals. They may line up hours before a store opens. They may be hoping to get a low price on a TV or laptop, but not everyone who wants one will get one. Some people leave disappointed. The situation can be tense. Some Black Friday events have been violent. Large, eager crowds have trampled workers. Fights have broken out over toys or people cutting in line. People have shot one another over parking spots. But most Black Friday events are safe and fun. Still, if you plan on going, expect large crowds and a bit of shoving. So where does the name Black Friday come from? It was first used in Philadelphia in the 1950s. The police called this day Black Friday because of the heavy traffic it drew. In the 1960s, stores tried to rename the day Big Friday. It did not stick. The name Black Friday continued to spread across the country. It seems that it is here to stay. Now people all over the country take part in the event known as Black Friday. It is even spreading to other parts of the world. Stores have held Black Friday events in the UK, Australia, and Brazil since 2012. In Costa Rica, Black Friday is known as Viernes Negro. And in Mexico, stores offer an annual weekend of discounts. They call it El Buenín, which means the good weekend in Spanish. I guess the language of savings is universal.
Section 5. The Colosseum. The Colosseum is an ancient stadium in the center of Rome. It is the largest of its kind. It is very old. They started building it in the year 70. It took 10 years to build. It is still around today. The Colosseum has been used in many ways. In ancient Rome, men fought each other in it. They fought against lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my! It was dreadful. But most of the people loved it. As many as 80,000 Romans would pack inside to watch. These gruesome events went on until 523. The Colosseum has been damaged many times over the years. It was struck by lightning in the year 217. This started a fire. Much of the Colosseum is made of stone. But the fire damaged the upper levels. They were made of wood. This damage took many years to repair. It was not finished until the year 240. The worst damage happened in 1349. A mighty earthquake shook Rome and the Colosseum. The south side of the building collapsed. Pieces of the arena were all over the ground. Many people took the fallen stones. Others took stones from the seating areas. They used them to repair houses and churches. The Romans of those days were not connected to the Colosseum. It had last been used as a castle. Before that it was a graveyard. It has been hundreds of years since the games. The damage to the Colosseum was never repaired. It's a good thing the outer wall of it still stands strong. Today the Colosseum is one of Rome's most popular attractions. People from all over the world come to Italy to see it. The Pope leads a big march around it every Good Friday. It is a symbol that many know. It has even appeared on the back of a coin. I guess that makes it a symbol that many people want too. Section 6, Mongooses. If you plan on going to Hawaii, don't bring any pets. Hawaiians are wary of letting in foreign animals. Your beloved Rex or Fifi could spend up to 120 days in quarantine. They have strict rules for importing animals. They carefully screen all incoming pets. Who could blame them? They've had problems with new animals in the past. The black rat was introduced to Hawaii in the 1780s. These ugly suckers originated in Asia, but they migrated to Europe in the 1st century. Since then they've snuck on European ships and voyaged the world with them. These rats carry many diseases including the plague. They are also good at surviving and tend to displace native species. That means that after they infest an area, there will be fewer birds and more black rats. Most people prefer living around birds. Since their arrival in Hawaii, black rats have been pests. They've feasted on sea turtle eggs. They've eaten tree saplings, preventing trees from being reforested. And they've been a leading cause in the extinction of more than 70 species of Hawaiian birds. They love to climb trees to eat bird eggs. They also compete with forest birds for food, such as snails, insects, and seeds. Perhaps more troubling, black rats threaten humans. They spread germs and incubate disease. They are a vector for more than 40 deadly illnesses. Some think that rat-borne diseases have killed more people than war in the last 1,000 years. Rats also eat our food. They eat more than 20% of the world's farmed food. And that's why the mongoose was brought to Hawaii. During the mid-1800s, the Hawaiian sugar industry was thriving. Americans were just realizing that they loved sugar. Hawaii was pretty much the only place in America where one could grow sugarcane. But those filthy vermin were tearing up the fields. Black rats were destroying entire crops. What's a plantation owner to do? The answer is simple. Import an animal known to kill rats. What could go wrong with that? In 1883, plantation owners imported 72 mongooses and began breeding them. People revere the mongoose in its homeland of India. They are often kept tame in Indian households. Mongooses feed on snakes, rats, and lizards. Creatures that most people dislike. They are also cute and furry. And they kill deadly cobras. What's not to love? Sadly, India is a much different place than Hawaii. When the mongooses got to Hawaii, they did not wipe out the rats as plantation owners hoped. Instead, they joined them in ravaging the birds, lizards, and small plants that were native to Hawaii. It's not that the mongooses became friends with the rats. They still ate a bunch of them. But mongooses are not too different from most other animals, they go for the easy meal. In Hawaii they had a choice. Pursue the elusive black rat or munch on turtle eggs while tanning on the beach. Most took the easy route. Now Hawaii has two unwanted guests defacing the natural beauty. The Hawaiians have learned their lesson. Talks of bringing in mongoose-eating gorillas have been tabled. So don't get uptight when they don't welcome your cat Mittens with open arms. They're trying to maintain a delicate ecosystem here.